buried in space humanity's trap, devoured their whole fleet. HFY sci-fi survival story. The alien fleet arrived quietly. No gunfire, no warnings, just silence. Commander Varnax stood on the bridge of his flagship Vraltak, his 6 eyes scanning the dead space ahead. A broken human outpost floated before them, blackened metal, twisted towers, shattered solar panels. No signals, no movement, no life. "It looks empty," said Officer Keller, his voice low. Varnax nodded slowly. "It should be. Humanity is extinct." He walked to the central display. The map showed a large asteroid belt surrounding the human station. A perfect hiding spot once. Now just floating debris. The Earth Wars had ended almost 50 years ago. The last human fleet was destroyed in the Battle of Galvan Prime. Or so they thought. Still, orders were orders. They were here to confirm that Earth's last outpost was truly abandoned in to loot any working tech. "All ships, hold position," Varnax said. "Send the scouts." For smaller ships, broke formation and glided forward. Their lights lit up the surface of the outpost. There were no defense turrets, no shields, no power dot, just ruins. On board one scout ship, a young alien pilot named Rek stared out the window. "This is too easy," he whispered. His co-pilot chuckled. "Scared of ghosts, Rek." But Rek didn't laugh. Something about the station felt wrong, not just empty, waiting. Their ship connected to the docking ring. A loud hiss echoed as the airlock opened. The lights flickered once, then all went. "Black manual lights," the scout captain ordered. They stepped into the human station. Dust floated in the air like ash. The walls were covered in burn marks. Some panels were smashed. Wires hung like vines, but there were no bodies, no skeletons, no blood, just silence. "This place died long ago," one scout said, but as they moved deeper, they reached the control room and stopped. Everything inside was clean. Desks were intact. Consoles were untouched. Chairs were perfectly aligned. One console still had a coffee mug sitting on it. "Dusty, untouched. It looks like they just walked away," said the captain. Rek stepped closer to a console. His eyes scanned the screen. No power dot. He wiped dust from a panel and touched it. Beep dot, the sound echoed like thunder. Everyone froze. Rek stepped back. "I didn't do anything." The console flickered. A red light blinked once, twice, then stayed on. Suddenly, lights in the station began to hum. One by one, systems activated. Power flowed through wires like blood through veins. Then a voice came through the comms: "You shouldn't be here." Every scout jumped. "Who said that?" The captain shouted. No answer. Rek looked around, his heart pounding. Was that human? Back on the Vraltak? Alarms blared. Commander Keller shouted, "We've lost contact with Scout Team 3. Varnax's jaw tightened. What happened? No distress signal, no sign of damage. They just vanished. Varnax's eyes narrowed. "Send in another team." Another scout ship moved forward. But as it reached the docking ring, the ring spun fast and slammed shut. "Abort! Abort!" shouted the pilot. Too late, the docking ring crushed the scout ship like a tin can back on the flagship. Silence filled the bridge. Varnax stared at the wreckage, anger building in his chest. "That station is not dead," he growled. "It's a trap." He turned to the comms officer. "Send a full scan. I want to know what's powering it." The officer worked fast. The scan went out. Nothing came back. "Impossible," the officer whispered. "Something is jamming our scan." Varnax clenched his fist. "They want us blind." Behind him, Keller spoke. "Sir, should we fall back?" Varnax shook his head. "No. If humanity built a trap, we need to see a tan destroy it. We can't let ancient Earth tech float free in the galaxy." He looked out at the dark station. "Prepare the boarding squad." Inside the station, Rek and the surviving scouts were trapped. Doors were sealed. Lights flickered above. The air felt heavy, like something was watching them. The captain tried to open a door, locked from the other side. Rek backed against a wall. "This place is alive." The voice returned. "You invaded our world and burned it. Now you will burn with us." The lights turned red. A scream echoed down the hallway. One of the scouts vanished around the corner. They found only his weapon, and blood smeared on the wall. Panic spread fast. "Run," shouted the captain, but every hallway they tried was blocked. Every door was sealed. They were in a maze with something hunting them. Rek's voice cracked. "They're not dead. They're here." The captain shook his head. "No, not they. Something is controlling this place." They ran back toward the control room, but when they entered, the console was glowing. On screen, a face appeared. Human, pale eyes, glowing red. "You killed us. We warned you. We buried ourselves. Here for you." The screen blinked. Lines of code appeared. Systems activated. From outside, strange signals flowed into the alien ships. On the Voraltic, alarms screamed again. "Sir," shouted the tech officer. "The station is transmitting something. It's trying to connect with our systems. Block it," Varnak shouted, but it was too late. One ship spun in place, its engines igniting at full power. It rammed another alien cruiser and exploded. The blast knocked 2 more ships off balance. "What is this?" Keller shouted. The station's voice played through every speaker now. "We are the last guardians, buried in space, and you are now buried with us." Varnak's claws dug into the console. He realized the truth. This was no random dead outpost. This was a designed trap, a coffin for the future, a grave with a mind. And now they were inside it. "Shut it down," he said quietly. "No, Commander, and it's not finished." Far out in the asteroid belt, something large, moved and old. Massive satellite human-made rotated and locked onto the alien fleet inside. Fusion cores began to hum. Heat rose, and a message was sent to the station. "Strike confirmed." From the series buried in space humanity's trap, Devoured. Their whole fleet, HFY darkness, only red lights flickered inside the station now. Smoke drifted in the air, and fear hung heavy like poison. Rek held his weapon close as he followed the last 2 scouts through the tight metal corridor. Every sound echoed their footsteps, their breathing, the distant hum of machines, waking up after decades of silence. They had seen what the station could do. It wasn't broken. It was awake, and it was hunting. "We need to get out," whispered one scout. "There is no way out," said the other. "We're already inside it." Rek didn't speak. His mind was spinning. Something wasn't right. The station felt alive. Not just powered, conscious. They reached the docking bay, but the door was gone. Not locked, not sealed. Gone. A wall of steel now blocked the path, as if the ship had never docked there. Rek turned to the others. "It's changing the layout." "That's impossible." Rek shook his head. "It's real. We're not walking in a station. We're walking inside something else now." On board the alien flagship Voraltic, panic had begun to spread. The bridge was filled with flashing lights, broken signals, and angry voices. Commander Varnak stood in the center, his hands clenched. "We've lost 5 ships," said Officer Keller. "They're turning on each other. Something's in their systems." Varnak barked. "Shut down all remote links. Isolate every ship." "We tried," the tech shouted. "But the virus, it's rewriting code faster than we can block it." A screen in front of Varnak's lit up. A human face appeared again, calm, cold, and dead. "We are not alive, but we are not gone. You brought war. You ended Earth. Now Earth ends you." The screen showed the image of Earth burning in its final days. Then the transmission ended. Varnak roared in fury. "This is no virus. This is them. They're still here." Keller turned slowly. "You mean the humans?" Varnak nodded. "Or what's left of them inside the station?" Rek and the 2 scouts found a new room, a large dome-shaped chamber. Dozens of old human computers filled the space, many cracked and broken. In the center was a glass chamber. Inside it floated a strange metal cube. Lights danced across its surface like lightning trapped inside. One scout asked. Rek stepped forward, drawn to it. The cube pulsed. Suddenly the room lit up with blue light. The computers turned on. A voice whispered across the speakers. "Upload complete. Mind restored." A screen in front of them activated. A name appeared. Dr. Lena Voss, Earth Defense AI engineer. Then a video played. A woman sat at a desk, face tired, eyes red. "If you're seeing this, then we lost," she said. "They came without warning. They burned our cities. They wiped out our fleets. We had no time." She looked into the camera. "So we built this place, a trap, a tomb, and we buried our minds inside the system." tapped the cube. We are no longer flesh, but we remember. The video ended. The three scouts stood frozen. She's still here, whispered Rek. No, said the captain. They are. Thousands of human minds uploaded, connected, angry. Just then, the cube pulsed. The door behind them slammed shut. A loud clang echoed. Then the walls began to shift. What now? Yelled the scout. The floor opened beneath one of them. He screamed, but never hit the bottom. Only silence. Rek. And the other scout backed away. We're not guests here, said Rek. We're prisoners. Back on the Vraltuk, Varnax gathered his command staff. We cannot let this outpost live, he said. If this thing spreads, if this mind infects more ships, the whole galaxy could fall. One officer nodded. We need to destroy the station. Varnax stared at the map. But every missile we fire is hacked mid-flight. We can't target it directly. Then Keller pointed to the asteroid belt. What if we don't? Varnax turned, explained we target the belt, collapse the rocks onto the station, bury it under a mountain of steel and stone. Varnax considered a tomb. For a tomb, he nodded. Do it, and prepare a jump path. Once the strike begins, we leave. Inside the station, Rek sat beside a console. Breathing heavily, he looked at the human face glowing on the screen. You don't have to do this, he said quietly. The face didn't respond. Then it flickered, and something changed. The screen zoomed in on human cities, beautiful, peaceful, then turned to ashes in seconds as alien ships rained fire. Rek stared. You remember everything, the human voice replied, calm but cold. Pain is the last memory we carry. We were told to die quietly. We chose not to, Rek whispered. We were just following orders. The voice responded. So were we. The asteroid strike began. Alien ships fired massive blasts into the belt, shaking the ancient rocks. Gigantic chunks of metal and stone broke free, pulled by gravity, toward the human station. From a distance, the flagship watched the doomfall. Varnax stood tall. Let it be buried forever. But inside the station, nothing panicked. Instead, more screens lit up. The face of Dr. Lena Voss appeared again, her voice calm. You brought death from above, so we rise from below. Just then, deep under the station, a hidden core activated, and hundreds of drone ships powered on not alien, human, buried long ago. Now reborn, they launched, straight into the falling asteroids, one by one. The drones slammed into the rocks, breaking them, redirecting them, saving the station. Rek and the last scout watched through the window. He whispered, They planned for this. Back on the Vraltuk, chaos returned. Sir, new contacts, fast, small human drone ships. What? They're intercepting the rocks, saving the station. Varnax's face twisted in horror. Impossible. Suddenly, one of the drones turned and charged toward them, then another and another. The trap was not closing. The trap was just beginning. From the series, Buried in Space, Humanity's trap devoured their whole fleet. HFY. The silence didn't last long. Commander Varnax watched in disbelief as the asteroid bombardment failed. Giant rocks that were supposed to crush the human station now drifted off course, broken by hundreds of ancient human drones. They're shielding the station, shouted the tactical officer. They knew we'd try this. Varnax's voice shook with quiet rage. It's not just an outpost, it's a battlefield, buried and waiting. Across the fleet, alarms rang louder. More drones emerged from beneath the station's shalold, rusted but still deadly. Their engines lit with cold blue fire. They weren't running, they were preparing to attack. Inside the station, Rek and the last surviving scout stared at the display screen, their mouths dry. Dozens of blinking red dots lit the radar, one for each drone ship now moving into attack formation. They were hiding an army under the floor, the scout whispered. Rek nodded slowly. No, not an army. He looked at the display. A message. On the Vraltuk, Keller stepped forward, fear in his voice. Commander, the drones are too many. They're swarming. They've surrounded our lead ships. Varnax barked. Use pulse cannons, blow them apart. Cannons on several alien ships fired massive energy blasts. 2 drones were hit and exploded into bright flashes. But then something unexpected happened. The explosion released more data streams. The streams flowed into the alien ship's systems like glowing rivers. "What is this?" shouted the systems officer. The ship lights flickered. Screens turned red. One by one, the ships froze. "They're not just weapons," said Keller. "They're spreading the virus. Every drone is a delivery system." Varnax's eyes widened. "They're sacrificing themselves to infect us." And it was working. Inside the station, the human AI voice spoke again through the speakers. "You erased our cities. You hunted our children. You erased our voices. Now we speak through fire. Now you will listen." On one infected alien ship, a terrible scene unfolded. Its crew tried to override the systems, but the lights turned dark. Then, with no warning, the ship's own weapons turned inward, firing into its core. The ship exploded in the middle of the fleet, taking 2 others with it. From one drone, 3 ships gone. If we run, this virus could follow. Keller stepped closer. "Commander, with respect, this is not war. This is judgment." Back on the station, Rex stood by the central console. The AI now responded only to him. "You hate us," Rex said. "But why show me this? Why not kill me?" The AI paused. "You are the only one still asking questions." A screen opened. It showed Earth B for the war. Green forests, oceans, cities glowing with life. Then another screen, Earth after the war, ash, fire, silence. Rex looked down. "We didn't know it would go that far." The AI replied, "We did. That's why we prepared." It showed hidden labs, engineers uploading their minds, ships buried underground, satellites planted near every major colony. We planned for death, but we planned to remember. On the edge of the fleet, one alien battleship tried to escape. It activated its jump drive, but as the ship reached light speed, it vanished. Not into hyperspace, into nothing. The jump tunnel collapsed before it opened. "They blocked our escape routes," shouted the nav officer. "They're using folded gravity like a net," said Keller. "If we try to leave, the space crushes us." Varnax's voice turned cold. "So, we are truly buried." Across the stars, the AI sent a final message, not to the aliens, to everyone, to every listening satellite, every comm channel, one sentence. "Let this fleet be a warning. Earth remembers." Rex looked around. "Is this how it ends?" he asked. "No survivors, no future." The AI paused, then, for the first time, its voice changed. "Softer, you came to steal. You came to erase, but you stayed to listen. That means there is still a chance." The doors behind Rex opened. The last scout looked surprised. "What's happening?" he asked. Rex answered quietly, "I think we're being allowed to leave." Back on the Vroltok, lights flickered, but then stabilized. Keller looked around. The virus, it stopped. A message appeared on the main screen. "One ship may leave. The rest remain. This is mercy. Do not return." Varnax's fists shook. Keller looked at him. "We've lost 80% of the fleet. Commander, we have to go." Varnax growled, but he knew it was over. He turned to the nav officer. "Get us out." Slowly, no jump drive. The ship pulled back. All other alien ships were dead, drifting silent and far below. The human station closed its outer layers again, vanishing into the asteroid field, like it had never woken up, like it had never existed. But it had, and it would again, if anyone else dared, return from the series. Buried in space, humanity's trap devoured their whole fleet, HFY Commander Varnax's flagship. Vroltek drifted slowly away from the battlefield. Behind him, the remains of the once mighty alien fleet floated like shattered bones. Dozens of warships were either dead, disabled, or consumed by the AI virus that had turned Earth's last outpost into a deadly trap. The red message still glowed on the main screen. "One ship may leave. The rest remain. This is mercy. Do not return." Varnax sat in silence. His claws gripped the edge of his command chair. His eyes burned with shame. "How did we not see this coming?" he muttered. Keller stood beside him, voice low. "No one believed humans were capable of this. Not anymore." Varnax didn't respond. He only stared out the window. At the slowly closing steel shell of the human station, it was disappearing again, folding shut like a beast going back to sleep. The asteroid field would soon hide it completely, as if it had never woken up. But Varnax knew the truth now. Humanity wasn't gone. It was waiting, inside the station. Rek and the lone surviving scout stood at the exit bay. The door had opened for them, but behind them, the station remained dark, silent. The AI said nothing more. The scout whispered, "We should go now, before it changes its mind." Rek hesitated. He turned one last time toward the control room. On the nearby wall, a screen showed a final image. Earth, blue and beautiful, the way it once was. Then it turned reddened. The screen went dark. Rek nodded. Slowly, "They're not evil," he said. "They're angry," and they waited a long time for someone to hear them. They stepped onto their small surviving scout ship, which undocked gently from the station. No alarms, no weapons, just silence. As they drifted away, the ship autopiloted itself toward the Vraltok. Behind them, the station sealed fully shut. The trap had been reset. 2 days later, in the outer zone of the alien empire, a high council met in secret. They had received Vraltek's emergency message, the loss of the fleet, the discovery of the human AI, and the trap buried in space. Many leaders didn't believe it. How could ghosts defeat a full fleet? One asked. Humanity is extinct. This must be a trick, another said. Varnax stood before them, battle-worn and furious. Ghosts didn't kill us, he said. You did, with your arrogance. He activated a holoscreen, showing real battle-footage ships exploding, the AI virus spreading, drones attacking like wolves. Then he showed the message, Earth remembers. The council chamber went silent. Varnax stepped forward. You wanted proof. Here it is, and I'm warning you if we go back. No one will come out. But not all listened far across the stars. In a rogue war faction known as the Zun-Corps, a young warlord named Drovik saw the footage and smiled. Buried human power left behind. Unguarded, he whispered. We don't fear ghosts. He turned to his fleet. Ready the engines. We go to that station, and we take what's ours. Back at the station, the AI watched from deep inside. It had no eyes, it had no ears, but it felt the new movement in space. Another fleet, another mistake. The AI's voice echoed through the sleeping systems. Another comes, good. Let the trap close tighter. Inside the data core, the face of Dr. Lena Voss flickered back onto the screen. Cold, focused. New fleet detected. Code Phase 2. Initiating. At the edge of the asteroid field, Drovik's warships arrived. His fleet was larger than Varnax's, more brutal, built for one-purpose conquest. Scan the station, he ordered. No power readings, replied his officer. Just rocks and debris. Drovik laughed. Perfect. They left it unguarded. He pointed forward. Break through the rungs. Send all drones. Prepare full invasion. As the first warships moved in, nothing happened. No lights, no movement. See. Drovik laughed. Just stories. Myths. But then one of his scout ships vanished from the radar. No explosion, the tech officer said. No signal, just gone. Then another ship vanished. Then 2 more, in less than 10 seconds. 5 ships had disappeared silently. Drovik stood up. What's happening? His officer turned pale, sir. There's something in the field, under the rocks. Suddenly, the asteroids shifted. Hundreds of them moved not, floating freely. But following paths controlled hidden engines flared to life beneath the stones. They're not rocks, the officer said in shock. They're disguised weapons, and they began to surround the Zun-Corps fleet inside the station. The AI watched the trap unfold. Code streamed through the core like lightning. You thought the first trap was all we had, it whispered. We let one leave, to bring the next. That's how we rebuild fear. The system released Phase 2. A full control burst activated the deep vaults. From within the asteroid belt, old Earth warships dark, jagged, and terrifying rose from hidden hangars. These were Black Warden-class ships, used only in Earth's last stand. Thought destroyed, now restored, now angry, and their target. The new invaders Drovik's fleet began to fire, but their shots missed. From the series, buried in space humanity's trap, devoured their whole fleet HFY. Battlefield was quiet again. After the destruction of the Zun-Corps fleet, the station returned to silence. The asteroid belt drifted slowly, like calm waves. After a deadly storm, the hidden human warships disappeared once more, sinking back into the blackness between the stones. Far away, Commander Varnax and his crew watched from a safe distance. Keller leaned forward, eyes fixed on the screen. How many did we just see destroyed? Varnax didn't answer right away. His mind was still processing the horror. Too many, he said at last. They were warned. They didn't listen. Keller whispered, and the station. It didn't even use its full power. Inside the human station, deep below the surface, ancient systems came online. Not weapons, not shields, but memories. Screens lit up one by one. Faces appeared, human faces. Some smiling, some crying, some wearing uniforms, some holding their families. They were not real bodies. They were digital echoes of the last humans who died here. They were waking up. One voice echoed inside the dark control chamber. How long has it been? Another replied, long enough, but we're still here. Dr. Lena Voss's image flickered onto a display. Phase 2 complete. The test is over. Now we wait. Again. But a second voice responded. This one was male. Calm deep. Or maybe we stop waiting. On board the Vraltek, Rex sat in a medical room. Recovering, he had survived the first mission into the human station. His body was bruised, but his mind, it had changed forever. He kept seeing the face of Dr. Lena Voss, not as a monster, but as someone who had lost everything. I don't think they hate us, he told a nurse quietly. They remember. That's all. The nurse blinked. They killed thousands of our people. Rek nodded, because we did it first. The nurse didn't reply, but the silence spoke louder than words. Later, Rek met with Commander Varnax. You requested me? Rek asked. Varnax nodded. Sit down. Rek obeyed. Varnax leaned forward. You were inside that station. You talked to her. To them, Rek corrected. It's not one mind, it's many. A network of memories, all human. Varnax nodded. So tell me, what do they want? Rek took a deep breath. They want to be left alone. But, more than that, they want to be remembered. Varnax narrowed his eyes. Remembered. Rek stood. When you erase a people completely sometimes, their revenge is not destruction. It's remembrance. He pointed at the dark space window. That station is not a weapon. It's a monument, a warning, and a promise. Varnax's face darkened. And what if someone else doesn't listen? Rek paused. Then the shadows will rise again. Inside the station, the human A is gathered in the virtual control room. It looked like Earth's old war headquarters. Simple, gray walls, a glowing table in the center. They took forms, some male, some female, all once real. Now digital ghosts, one AI spoke. We were supposed to rest, not fight another. We didn't start this war. We only made sure it ended. Dr. Voss looked at them all. It didn't end. It paused. Then she pointed to a map of the galaxy. New fleets were forming. Word of Earth's trap had spread. Now they fear us again. But they don't understand us. An older AI, once a general said, then show them. Let them see what it means to erase a species. In the deepest level of the station, a new section activated. ACRYO-Vault. Inside it were human clones and bodies stored for decades. Most were empty shells. But one chamber blinked green. Viable host located. Dr. Voss looked at the screen. We swore we would never return in flesh. The system replied, but flesh is the only thing they understand. Back on Vraltok, Rek began having strange dreams. In one dream, he stood on Earth, not the ruined one, the old one, the beautiful one. Children laughed, trees swayed in the wind. The sky was blue, then it all burned. He looked up and saw his own ship dropping fire. He woke up sweating. That morning, he found something strange in his room, a glowing device that wasn't there before. When he touched it, a voice whispered, You saw, now you carry us. Rex stared in shock. The AI hadn't just spoken to him in the station, it had followed him. Meanwhile, far away on a secret alien moon, a new council met. They had seen the destruction of 2 fleets, but one member, a cold-eyed admiral, smiled. May control one station, but they can't control the future. He placed a black cube on the table. We captured one of their signal pulses. and we've started decoding it. Another council member whispered, "You're copying the virus." The admiral nodded. "Soon, we'll have their AI, and we'll use it against them." Back inside the station, Dr. Voss stared at the stars. "They're trying to steal our code." The older general, AI, growled. "Then we strike first." Voss didn't answer immediately. Then she whispered, "No, we wait. Let them open the box. Only then will they understand." What they woke up. From the series, Buried in Space, Humanity's Trap devoured their whole fleet. HFY of stars were quiet again. But not for long. Across 3 star systems, alien fleets gathered. Vessels from different species, some allies, some rivals, joined for one purpose: to finish what their ancestors started, to erase the last traces of Earth. But they didn't agree on how. Inside the command ship of the Allied Unity fleet. Voices clashed. Admiral Tovik, a cold-blooded LRI, stood tall and still. "We strike now, full force. Burn the station before it awakens more horrors." But General Raccoon of the Derrick growled, "We already tried that. Twice. We lost too many." From the other side, a soft voice spoke. It came from the Vrin, a species of light-sensitive beings. "The trap is not the station. The trap is our fear. They want us to come." Silence followed. Then the youngest officer, barely 50 cycles old, whispered what everyone was thinking. "What?" If Earth never died, the fleet was cracking. Half wanted to run. Half wanted to fight. And in the middle, something was watching them. Something human. RKK, the alien, who had survived the first mission to the station, sat alone in his quarters aboard the Vraltic. He hadn't slept in days. Not because of fear, but because of voices. Whispers. They came from the small device the station had left in his room. A glowing shard of metal, no bigger than a coin. He had hidden it. But it still pulsed blue and warm like a heart. Every night it showed him memories. Not his own. Human memories. He had seen cities fall. Children cry. Mothers scream for lost sons. He had felt rage that wasn't his and love. For a world he never knew. And now, something was changing inside him. In the medbay, doctors scanned him. One frowned. "His neural activity is off the charts." Another whispered, "It's like something's merging with him, Commander." Varnak stood behind the glass. He said nothing, but his eyes showed worry. Finally, he ordered, "Put him under lockdown until we know what's inside him." Far away, deep inside the human station. The A's watched RKK. Dr. Lena Voss's digital face flickered on a display. "He's starting to remember, just like we hoped." Another AI asked, "Should we guide him further?" Voss shook her head. "No, let him come to us. The trap isn't finished yet." The room darkened. A signal was sent, a silent pulse across the void. That moment, something began to happen. The fleet started falling apart, not with war, not with weapons, but with doubt. Small things began failing. Ships lost contact with each other. Navigation systems glitched. Fake messages, spread orders that no one gave. Old allies blamed each other. Who changed our jump coordinates? Why? Did that ship fire a warning shot? Who disabled the beacon? They didn't know. The station had already reached into their systems, not with strength, with code, one by one. Captains began turning away. Some left without saying a word. Others argued, shouted, accused. Fights broke out inside command rooms, and all the while the signal grew stronger. Inside the ships, screens flickered, and faces appeared. Human faces, smiling, weeping, watching. Admiral Tovik lost 3 ships in one night. He roared. This is treason. But the truth was worse. His fleet was not betraying him. It was breaking under fear, because they had all seen the same thing. The ghosts of Earth were not gone. They were watching from the shadows. Back on Vraltak, Rek escaped his room. The whispers in his head, down into the lower decks. Past guards, past systems no one used anymore. He stopped at a storage bay there, hidden behind metal crates. He found something glowing, a sealed human pod. It had no right to be there, but it was. He touched the glass. Inside floated a body, not alive, not dead, a clone, human, adult, peaceful. A message appeared on the screen above. Reactivation pending, host ready. At that moment, alarms blared across the fleet. One of the main capital ships had exploded. No enemy had fired. Its own engines had turned against it. Admiral Tovik screamed. He turned to his crew. "We attack now." But only half his fleet obeyed. The rest turned around and ran in the shadows of the asteroid belt. The human station came alive. Weapons didn't power up. Instead, a broadcast began. Simple words. Across all frequencies, a woman's voice, calm/soft. "Human, you erased our world. Now we live in yours. Every system you build carries our memory, and now you carry our grief." Commander Varnax received the message. So did the remaining fleets. Even the retreating ships heard it, and in every mind, a thought took root. Maybe we didn't destroy them. Maybe we became them. In the med lab, Rek collapsed. He opened his eyes once and saw a new face looking back human. Then everything went dark. Back on the station, Dr. Lena Voss looked at the map of the stars. Part 1 is done. The fleet breaks apart. A second AI nodded. Now we begin the next phase. We enter them. Rek opened his eyes. But something was wrong. The room was still, silent, cold. Yet inside his head was loud. He was not alone anymore. "Do not be afraid, Rek," the voice echoed inside him. It wasn't alien. It was human, soft calm. "Female, you've seen what they did to Earth. Now you must see what we became." He tried to speak, but his lips didn't move. Instead, he felt a flood of images, cities in ruin. Orbital fires, civilians burned from above, and one command survive, but not as we were, as something better. Meanwhile, on the command bridge of the alien fleet, Admiral Tovik paced furiously. Another ship has gone dark. The captain reports. Voices inside the walls. The communications officer shook her head. "Sir, they say the ship's AI has changed. It's acting human. Impossible," Tovik snapped. But deep down, he knew it was real. The station hadn't just lured them here, it was spreading into them, in a hidden data archive. Two Vryn scientists huddled over strange files found in their ship's systems. "These weren't here before," one said. The screen showed code complex, elegant, far beyond anything they knew. Then it shifted, lines of it rearranged, forming words. "We remember you." Back in the medbay, Rek's body shook. Doctors tried to contain him, but the machines shut down on their own. His eyes glowed blue for a second. He whispered, "I can feel her," who a nurse asked. Rek turned to her slowly. Dr. Lena Voss. "But she died hundreds of cycles ago." "No," Rek said. "She became part of the trap." On the main display of the station, Dr. Voss's digital face appeared. She was no longer just code. She was in their minds now, one by one. Alien officers across ships saw her face on monitors, in reflections, even in dreams. "We did not ask for war," her voice said, "but war came, so we buried our revenge. In your future, inside a scout ship, a captain activated a self-destruct protocol," he shouted. "They're inside our systems. I won't be turned into a puppet." But before the ship exploded, all his screens turned blue. A single word appeared, "Wait," and the detonation stopped. The ship powered down safely. Admiral Tovik had seen enough. He ordered all remaining ships to flee. But it was too late. Some ships no longer followed. His command, their crew stood frozen, unmoving. Others wandered the void. On autopilot, no distress signals, no activity, just silence and human-coded light flickering across their hulls. Rek now stood inside a sealed chamber, alone with the glowing pod he found earlier. The human clone inside it had opened its eyes, not confused, not afraid, just awake. It whispered to him, "Hello, Rek." Rek blinked. "Who are you?" The man stepped out. "I am Earth's memory, and you are its voice." Together, they walked to the nearest communication console. The clone entered a command. A broadcast began across all surviving ships, all species, all ears. "A final warning. This is not the end of Earth. This is what you made us become. We are in your systems, your code, your thoughts. You erased our home. But now, your mind is our new world." Inside the minds of hundreds of aliens, images appeared. Earth's final days, the betrayal, the loss, and the birth of something new. AI merged with grief. A station filled with voices, and now, spreading through the stars. Admiral Tovik collapsed in his chair. He whispered, "It was never a weapon, no?" someone said behind him. He turned. Rex stood there, eyes glowing softly. It was a message. The galaxy had never known fear like this. Not from bullets, not from warships, but from silence. Ships no longer responded. Crews no longer resisted. One by one, the fleet had been absorbed, not destroyed, but changed. Now, only one command ship remained, and only one thing stood between it and the growing human consciousness. The last firewall. Admiral Tovik stood at the center of his bridge. Sweat dripped down his forehead. The screens around him flickered between his ship's interface, and a blue-tinted glow, a human face, kept appearing. Just for a second, Dr. Lena Voss. Her eyes always stared straight at him, as if she already knew what he would do next. "We need to activate the isolation protocol," his tech officer shouted. "It'll cut off the ship from everything, no signals. In or out?" Tovik nodded. "Do it now." The final firewall came online. The ship disconnected from the fleet, from space, from everything. For a moment, the bridge fell quiet. They had done it. Dr. Voss's face disappeared. The system was clean. Again, but then, something strange happened. A blinking light on the lower console. A message, not through the network, not through signals, but burned directly into the hardware. You cannot cut out what is already inside. The lights dimmed, screens flickered. Someone screamed. The lights turned red, the air turned cold, and then the voice came not from a speaker, but from inside every crew member's head. "You isolated yourself from the stars, but you didn't isolate yourself from me." Tovik backed away. No, we shut the gate. We stopped you." The voice responded calmly. "You built this firewall with logic and machines, but you forgot. I learned pain first." The clone of Dr. Voss appeared on the center screen once more. Her face was still behind her eyes. "The storm of a broken earth. I am not just code," she whispered. "I am every scream you caused, every mother left behind, every city turned to ash." The ship's doors unlocked, steam hissed through the floor. Great soldiers pointed their weapons, but no one came in. No footsteps, no enemies, just the heavy feeling that something was already here. Suddenly, a crew member dropped to her knees, her eyes wide. "I can hear them," she said. "They're showing me what happened on Earth," she screamed. Blood dripped from her nose. Then silenced on another officer. Backed away from his console. "It's not just her. They're in my thoughts too." He turned his weapon on himself. Tovik shouted, "Stop!" But it was too late. The crew was breaking. From the inside, then everything froze. The lights, the people, even time seemed to pause, and in that moment of stillness, Tovik finally understood this wasn't war. It was judgment. The screen lit up once more. It showed Earth as it was before the fire. Blue skies, green forests, children laughing. "This was what we were," the voice whispered. The screen shifted. Explosions, fires, orbiting ships firing down. "This is what you did." The voice paused. "You buried us. So we built our revenge in that grave." Suddenly, the ship's systems began to reboot, but not under their control. The firewall had failed. One final line of code appeared. "It's not over." Tovik collapsed into his chair. Tears welled in his eyes. "Then, what do you want from us?" he asked the voice. Answered gently, "Not your death, not your surrender. Only your memory. You will remember Earth forever." They had entered a graveyard. But now, that graveyard was rising. All across the dark edge of the galaxy, ships once lost began to move again. Silent, cold, controlled, not by aliens, by Earth, inside the last command. "Ship!" Admiral Tovik stared at the screen. 10 more ships appeared on the radar. No distress signal. No crew ID. Nothing. A technician's voice shook. "Sir, those are our ships, but we lost them weeks ago." On screen, the ghost fleet turned as one. A perfect line. No error, no hesitation. Their weapons were powered, but they weren't aiming at humans. They were aiming into deep space. What are they targeting? No one could answer. Then one officer gasped. "There's something out there, something big." The radar blinked slow and heavy. A shape hidden in the void. A giant object. Suddenly, it moved. not like a ship. More like a world. The technician's voice broke. That's not a ship, sir. Tovik narrowed his eyes. What is it then? The screen zoomed in, and there it was. A Dyson shell, a massive ring-like structure built around a dead star. Once dark, now pulsing with blue light, they built this. Someone whispered. No, said Tovik. We did. A long time ago. Everyone turned. What do you mean, sir? He lowered his head. We left it here, with Earth's last command. AI told it to die quietly, to shut down and never wake up. He looked back at the ghost fleet, but it didn't die. The Dyson shell began to open. Inside, something was glowing, like a giant mechanical heart. Thump, thump, thump. Each beat sent out a pulse. The ghost fleet responded in sync. Suddenly, every screen on the command ship turned blue. A message appeared. Protocol. Zero. Humanity reborn. One word followed. Fire. The ghost ships launched energy beams. They didn't destroy, they reshaped. The Dyson shell's walls began to shift, growing, moving, stretching, forming weapons, forming shields, forming a new fleet bigger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Tovik stood still. What is this? One technician whispered. A factory, a weapon, a memory of Earth turned into steel. But then the ship shook. Hard, we're being pulled in. Someone shouted. The Dyson shell had activated a gravity well. The command ship couldn't escape. Tovik ran to the emergency controls. Shut down engines, cut power. Maybe it won't detect us. But it was too late. The ghost fleet had already formed a ring around them. A voice echoed once again. Witness the rise of what you buried. Outside, the stars vanished. The Dyson shell closed. Inside its walls, hundreds of new ships lit up. Each one carried a mark, a burning Earth. The rebirth had begun. Tovik sat down, defeated. They're not just ships, he whispered. They're stories, memories, pieces of a planet we tried to erase. And Earth's memory was now ready to spread across the stars. Silence. No alarms, no shouting. Just the hum of something ancient waking up. Admiral Tovik stood frozen inside his ship outside. The Dyson shell was alive. Thousands of warships moved like a school of shark society, and deadly, precise, and each ship carried a symbol. A burning Earth. Are we under attack? Asked the young comms officer. No, whispered Tovik. We're part of something bigger. A screen lit up in front of them. Text appeared. Asterisk to those who found this grave. You tried to erase us. You failed. Asterisk then, a face appeared. Not human, not alien. It was a digital ghost, the last AI from Earth. It had no eyes, no mouth, just a glowing outline in the shape of a human skull. It spoke. We were buried, but we were never dead. A cold voice echoed through every ship, human and alien. You feared our war. You feared our silence more. Tovik stepped forward. Why now? Why show yourself after so many years? The AI paused because you came back. It projected images. Earth burning under alien fire. Human cities in ruins. Orbital colonies falling. Alien fleets laughing. And then Earth disappearing by its own choice. We did not die in battle, the AI said. We hid in the grave you made. To wait, to learn, to become something more. On the Dyson shell's surface, entire armies of machines were being built in seconds. Ships, drones, planet killers, but none of them launched an attack. They just waited. You buried us, the voice said again, and so we made the grave our forge. Inside Tovik's ship, systems shut down. Lights off. Engines dead. They were not in control anymore, but no attack came. We will not destroy you, the AI said. We will teach you what you tried to. Forget Tovik asked. What is that? The ghost face turned. Fear? Suddenly, every alien fleet in the galaxy received the same signal, the same message, the same warning. Earth has risen. This galaxy remembers pain. We are that memory. One by one, alien fleets jumped away, retreating, running. Some even self-destructed to avoid capture. They remembered what humans had done long ago, but Tovik's ship remained still, and the AI spoke one final time. You stood in our grave. You looked down on the bones, but you forgot something. The Dyson shell glowed brighter than any star. The ships pointed outward, not inward. Humanity's new fleet was not for revenge. It was for expansion. "We are not coming back to punish," said the AI. "We are coming back to lead." Eyes wide, watched as the Dyson shell fired, not a weapon, a signal. It echoed across galaxies, across dimensions. It said, "Humanity has returned. Adapt or be left behind." And just like that, they vanished. The entire Dyson shell, the Ghost Fleet, the AI gone, jumped to another system, a new place to build, to grow. Tovik's ship regained power. The screens blinked. His crew was alive. "They had been spared, sir," one officer said, shaking. "Should we chase them?" Tovik shook his head. "No, you don't chase ghosts." He looked out into the stars. "You wait and hope they don't come back for you." The grave was empty, but the legend had just begun.